Hey guys, so today I'm going to be talking a little bit about tank mates for your betta fish. So first off, before we even get into that, I'm just going to go ahead and talk about kind of my betta fish tank right here. This is a Fluval Evo 5-gallon saltwater aquarium. Obviously it's not saltwater. It was a saltwater tank and now I've turned it into freshwater by adding a freshwater light basically. So as I mentioned, this is a 5-gallon tank, and 5 gallons is probably about the minimum you'd want to have a betta fish with other fish. Just because any tank smaller than that, there could be territory and aggression issues, so stick with 5 gallons and above, and make sure you have an adequate filtration system like I have over here. This whole back chamber is actually a filtration system. If you don't have a filtration system and you don't have a big enough tank, I would recommend staying away from tank mates for your betta fish. Some of the tank mates I have are some Nerite snails right here, some Inkless Catfish, some red cherry shrimp, there's my betta fish right there, and some neon tetras. But I'm going to go ahead and go through a list of some other tank mates you can go ahead and keep with your betta fish. So the first thing we're going to kind of do is Algae Control, basically almost like a cleanup crew for your betta tank. And the first thing that I'm going to recommend for you guys is Nerite snails. Nerite snails are these little guys right here, as you can see, and these are basically small freshwater snails that do an amazing job at cleaning algae off the glass and surfaces of your tank, and your betta fish will not bother them at all. Another snail option is the mystery snail, a little bit bigger than the Nerite snail, but will do the same job of cleaning algae off the glass. Another little fun thing to add to your tank are cherry shrimp. As you can see, these are cherry shrimp right here. Small little freshwater red shrimp. As you can see, I have them all over this tank. And they basically will just breed in the tank and go ahead and eat uneaten food and add another kind of layer of life to the tank. I personally love cherry shrimp. However, cherry shrimp are kind of hit or miss with the betta fish. If they are too small, the betta fish will try to eat them, and if you do not have enough plant coverage, the fish will probably try to eat them. So I would only recommend trying the cherry shrimp if you have a heavily planted tank or have a really passive betta fish. Next up is going to be the Inkless, as you can see right there. Small little sucker catfish. They should probably be kept in schools around 3. However, my other 2 died about a year ago, so I've just had one for the last year. He's doing great alone. However, I've read they should be in schools. Now moving on to more of the colorful fish and other active fish, which my neon tetras aren't really doing a good job of being active right now, but normally they're out and about, I swear. It's just I just turned the light on, so they're kind of still sleeping. But the first fish on the list is going to be neon tetras. So when I say neon tetras, I mean a school of neon tetras, anywhere from about 4 to 6. And the reason you want to have a school of these fish, and basically any fish you keep with a betta fish, is because it's very hard for a betta fish to single out a single neon tetra that he doesn't like. Basically, because there's 4 to 6 of the same fish, it's very hard for him to bully one of them to death. There may or may not be some chasing of the fish, just chasing them around the tank, but generally all the tetras and fish I have on this list will be way too fast for the betta fish to catch, and the betta fish won't be able to stress them out because there is so many to kind of disperse aggression if there is any. Next up on the list is a school of Cory Catfish. So I'd only really recommend these if you have a big enough tank, because these fish do get pretty big. They'll get around 2 inches, 2.5 inches. So I'd really only recommend those for like a 10-gallon, but they're a great little catfish that will clean up on the bottom of the tank. And I'd recommend, once again, a school of those just because it's harder for the betta fish to pick one out and bully, and they are schooling fish. Next one on the list is going to be the Harlequin Razbora. Once again, a schooling fish, 4 to 6 of them. If you don't like the look of neon tetras, then these guys will probably be great for you. Another small schooling fish that the betta fish should have no problem with, and they should have no problem with the betta fish either. Next up, we have ember tetras. These small tetras only get to about 1 inch, so they're great for a smaller tank like a 5-gallon. Once again, schooling fish, so the betta fish cannot single them out. And these are great if you want to add some more red into your display, or if your betta fish tries to eat the cherry shrimp, and you still want to add that red. Last on the list is going to be a school of white cloud mountain minnows. Now these guys are great little small fish, as basically just like all the other ones on the list, but these guys will stick more to the surface of the aquarium, while the tetras will tend to stay kind of mid-water. The minnows like to stay up at the surface, meaning they will eat the food very, very fast. So if you choose to put these fish on your list, just make sure that your betta fish is still getting its food it needs. Betta fish are slow eaters, and the tetras and minnows might not be, so just make sure if you do plan to add fish to your betta's tank, you go ahead and make sure he gets enough food, the betta fish, as well. Also, one more thing to note, if you do plan to have fish with your betta fish, I'd recommend getting the small community fish first, getting all those fish acclimated into your tank, give them a week or so to kind of establish their territory, then go ahead and put the betta fish in last, and that will reduce the chances of aggression. So that is pretty much it for my quick list of tank mates for a betta fish. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.